What's up, you guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. So as you can tell by the title, the 20th anniversary came and went last year in 2024, and there really was nothing. There was two core class figures. The first release was core class Energon Megatron, which, I mean, sure, I guess, why not? And then the second release was a repaint of that Megatron into Galvatron. And that was the most bare minimum, pathetic celebration and coverage of a series and of that show's 20th anniversary that I think I've ever seen ever in terms of a Transformers toy line from Hasbro. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And I've just been thinking back on this the last couple days, on stuff like that with last year. And I'm like, why did this slide over at Hasbro? And why did so many fans let this slide? I know the cartoon isn't the greatest thing in the world. Me personally, I think the cartoon is fun. It's a little goofy at times. The dialogue is weird, but there's some really fun characters like Shock Blast and Scorponok and Starscream and stuff like that. But I know the show isn't the greatest, even though I think it's a little overhated, because, I mean, every cartoon in Transformers, or basically just Transformers show back then, was, like, very campy in terms of dialogue and everything like that. So I really just see it as no different than Armada or Cybertron or, those cartoons from that era. But I digress. But the toys, the designs and everything like that, generally the fandom really likes that toy line, So it just makes me wonder, man, why is Hasbro neglecting Energon so much? And I talk about this, every so often on the channel, because I grew up on Energon. I'm a Unicron Trilogy kid, Bayverse kid, animated, Prime. That's my era, and then I watched Beast Wars on YouTube as a kid. And R80 2001 and G1, I was into a little bit of everything with Transformers when I was a kid. So, just thinking about all of that representation and, Transformers as a whole and not just G1, even though I freaking love G1, I'm looking at Energon and it's like, Hasbro, you cannot be listening to some weirdo neckbeards on TFW 2005 that say Energon sucks because the dubbing wasn't that great. I mean, you have all these classic characters in designs and people that want redos of a lot of these characters from Energon. Tap into that side of the fandom and you guys will make money on it. Just like how you're making money off of tapping into the Prime universe and Animated and Armada and Cybertron and Beast Wars the last few years. But then you're neglecting the middle child of Armada and Cybertron because you guys see some of the negative reception that some weirdos on social media say. When generally the Transformers community, I'd say, is a lot more positive than the likes of Star Wars, Marvel, or DC in modern times. So I'd say that universally the fandom wants to see Energon updates. Just because a lot of people think the cartoon is the weakest of the Unicron trilogy, it doesn't mean no one in the fandom wants to see these figures get made. Now, what I'm thinking is, could it have something to do with the actual designers that they hired to work on the Generations line the last couple years? Obviously, I'm not, blaming them and saying they're the worst people ever because we're not getting Energon updates. Evan and Mark and Nate and those people involved have been doing a fantastic job handling the Transformers brand and releases the last few years in terms of the figures and character selections. But I'm just pointing this out because it seems like Mark, he was asked about this in June in an interview about doing Energon updates, and he kind of brushed it off, and he was like, now, Machine Wars, let's talk, or something like that, he replied with. And then Evan, he seems more open to Energon updates, but again, he's not, super enthusiastic about that, even though there's been recent updates in an interview that I'll cover in a video in the next few days. But It feels like the guys in charge of the character selection and making the figures nowadays, they're probably not fans of Energon themselves, so I don't know if that helps. I don't know, I'm just kind of assuming, just going by the way they've talked about Energon in interviews. I could be wrong on things, and again, I'm not blaming them directly, because ultimately it comes down to the people above them that are making these final decisions on what figures and characters that Mark and Evan are able to make. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, because they do kind of drum up certain things, but then, like with Evan, he wanted to do the Japanese stuff for HasLabs that he was talking about in interviews. So I don't know if that has to do with it, but again, I'm not saying they're the reason 100% as to why. But this is something that I just think we need to see more in modern generations. They're doing all these updates for Armada and Cybertron. Some of them are a little half-assed and not the best, but regardless, we're still getting the updates, and Energon is just getting a dinky core class Megatron from a year ago. Like, that Megatron, that would have been an amazing Commander class release, and they kind of fumbled the bag there. I mean, I'm not saying I would pick Energon Megatron over freaking Beast Wars Neo Magmatron over Commander class. I think that Magmatron is an amazing figure, and I freaking love the character and the design in the anime. But I'm saying in, the future, I don't know, I think they should have done something else, like a deluxe class figure or a Voyager class for Energon, to really kind of put things out there. Because I remember last year they were saying that they did the core class Megatron to sort of test the waters to see if there's interest for Energon, and it seems like that figure did sell pretty well last year. But I don't think doing a character at core class that isn't even supposed to be that size in the Generations line is a good test to make sure that people actually want Energon updates. I think if they did a deluxe or a Voyager class, that would have been a way better test for them. But regardless, it seems like that Megatron did sell pretty well, it seems like, from just how the prices are on the internet. But I don't know, we're really going to have to wait and see. I mean, it seems like they are going to do Energon updates at some point down the line, but it seems like it's a little lower on the list for some reason. But considering that they're already doing the other two stuff from Unicron Trilogy, I mean, it just seems a little pathetic at this point that they're skipping over the sequel between Armada and Cybertron. It's just annoying to me. I was just thinking about how they handled the 20th anniversary, and there was really nothing going on for it. And I feel like for the 25th anniversary, we could get something, and I'm going to be doing a future video on that, speculating on the 25th anniversary of Energon and what we could get for that year. But I wouldn't count on it. Even for the 25th anniversary, I wouldn't even count on it, unfortunately, because it just seems like internally Hasbro doesn't really care too much, because that seemed like a low point in the franchise. Same thing with Beast Machines. But like I keep saying, the fandom collectively thought the toy line was good. There were a lot of great characters and designs from Energon that people want updates of in modern times. And just because a lot of people think the cartoon sucks doesn't mean we don't want new designs and characters made for figures in modern times, But yeah, guys, let me know down below. How do y'all feel about Hasbro neglecting Energon during its 20th anniversary last year? And yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. Catch y'all in the next one. Bye.